If we could have ended the game at 25 minutes in, I think it was a really, really good battle. Contrasting styles and similar at the same time. Obviously they won the battle of the paint. I thought when Aaliyah Edwards picked up her 4th foul that would be a momentum changer for us. Ironically, it was the opposite. Aubrey Griffin came in and to me was the difference maker for them. And it just goes to show you that it's not always about who scores all the points, but the extra possessions she created, the energy she created in transition, the way she was flying around, like she just changed the energy for that whole team. And obviously AZ Fudd looked like the AZ we were watching in November before she got hurt. She was making her pull-ups. She was getting all the way to the basket. She was obviously an All-American type player today. But I thought it was Griffin's energy that really changed the game.
We will now take questions for the student athletes only. If time allows, we'll follow up with any virtual questions. For the in-folk people, please allow for the microphone to be handed to you to ask your question. Identify yourself and your affiliation.
Jerry Hill, Baylor Bear Insider. Jaden, can you talk about that first quarter and just kind of what got you guys going? Y'all were obviously making some three-pointers.
I think it's just we went out, we knew our game plan, and I think we executed it. In the first quarter, we were playing together, and we were doing what we do best and getting in the paint touches, just pushing the ball up the floor and just playing together.
For either of you, what did you feel was like the difference?
Can you please state your name and your affiliation?
Alexa
Thank you.
Philippou, ESPN. What did you feel like ended up being the difference in the game? Did you agree with Coach that it was like Aubrey Griffin, AZ Fudd getting shots off, or how did you feel the game shift as it went on?
I think honestly a lot of it was turnovers. A lot of it there was some times where they went on runs where they got fast breaks, and that was one of the things that we didn't want. Like she said, offensive rebounding, they got some chances where it was wide open threes for them. There was just some missed assignments from us that we went over, and we just weren't as locked in as we needed to be on some of those. And they were hitting shots. They're a great team, and when they got their open shots, they were making them.
Pat Eaton-Robb from the Associated Press. Jaden, can you talk about your three-point shooting as a team? 14 against Alabama, 12 today, and was that kind of the game plan going in? You knew that they had the advantage inside?
We have great shooters on the team. I feel like everybody can shoot the three, so I wouldn't say exactly that's our game plan. Our game plan was just kind of to get our paint touches and just execute whatever play that is that Coach Nicki wants us to run. And if it's an open three, we're going to take it. I don't think we don't want to live and die by the three, but Jamie, Sarah, they were really on, and that's what we wanted to keep going with.
Any more questions for the student athletes?
Caitlin, obviously they had the size advantage inside. How difficult was it inside with all of that size and how physical they were?
I don't think we've ever really been the bigger team this year, at least at guard play ever. So we're pretty used to that. I think Big 12 has some pretty big posts. So it's usually a lot of teams will have a traditional post and then have kind of like more of a forward where you had Griffin out there that could kind of go in and out, or you had Ducharme, like people that can play both. So I think for us it was making sure they didn't get early looks. I think they got a couple, but a lot of the time their posts are really good running in transition. They're really good at sealing. I don't think we gave them a ton of post-to-post looks, which is something we kind of went over. But I think they just had so many more paint touches than us, whether it was guards, posts, and they were so effective doing that against us, and that's usually what we're really good at. And unfortunately, they just did that better than us.
If both of you want to address this, you can, or either of you, but just what do you kind of take from this season and this experience, the second year with Coach, and what do you kind of think will stick with you the most out of this year?
You want to go first? You got it. Oof. I'm going to get emotional if I answer this question. You should go first.
having faith. I think, one, playing for a God-fearing coach is one of the best things I can say for this organization. That's one. And two, just embracing the moment we're in. I think we have been doubted the whole season, the past 2 years since she's been here, and I think it's just all we have is ourselves, and I think that's something that we've realized and that we've really wanted to just stick with. All we have is our coach likes to say, don't point our guns at each other, but point it at the other team, just simply because all we have is each other. If we're together, that's all we need. So I think it's just sticking together as a family through the ups and the downs and just having faith in our coaching staff and our teammates and just embracing the moment that we're in.
For sure. Obviously, I was here in the Coach Kim Mulkey era, so it was just very different. And I'm glad I stayed. I'm glad that I got the opportunity to be coached by her. Oof. Sorry, emotional person. But yeah, it was fun. You know, I think last year we still had a very similar team. This year we got the chance to get a lot of new players. We went through a ton of obstacles that we didn't think we were going to have to face. I could tell you no top like Power 5 conference team. I feel like that's pretty successful is playing 2 freshmen. Props to them. They're going to be incredible players. And so many people had to step up this year. You know, we had an All-American last year that was probably averaging 25 to 30 points a game, was getting a double-double every single game. You know, we ran pretty much a lot of offense around her. Like, a lot of plays we did were for her. And this year, so many different players like Jamie, Sarah, Jaden, me, all of us had to step up and make a team effort. So I think, like she said, it was always us against the world mindset for us this year.
Thank you, ladies.
You're free. Thank you.
And now we will open up questions for the head coach.
State your name.
And your affiliation.
And
Rice Cherry Wake Up Trip. Nicki, obviously great effort by you guys tonight. Was it just too much FUD in the third quarter?
yeah, I mean, I think it was, she played like an All-American for sure. She had a little more bounce back, I thought. You know, and maybe that game was coming for her, you know, as she's worked her way back from her injury. But I just, you know, when you look at the numbers, it's not like the points off turnovers were any different. You know, I thought we had some chances to get good shots where we turned it over that maybe didn't lead to a basket, but took away an opportunity from us. And, you know, 13 turnovers against UConn is pretty darn good. Yeah, I think I said it in my press conference the other day, like, because their offense is so pretty and their ball movement and their player movement is so pretty, everyone always talks about UConn offensively, but they're always one of the best defensive teams in the country. And I think over the course of the game, their size wore us down. And it didn't necessarily wear us down at the rim on the defensive end. It wore us down at the offensive end because they were switching a lot. And, you know, they did a good job of switching back when they could, so we couldn't stay with some of the matchups. We didn't do a good enough job attacking Dorka in the ball screens, you know, with quicker players. I thought she backed up and contained pretty well. And I thought we settled for too many jump shots. Like, obviously, we knew we were going to have to take more threes than maybe normally we want to shoot 30% of our shots from three. We want to take what the defense gives us, but we don't want to live and die. We don't want to be 50% of our shots from three. But when they have that size and they're backing up, there's a time and place that sometimes that's the best shot you're going to get against them is an open three. And so I really thought the tide changed, though, because of Aubrey Griffin. I thought her energy at both ends, like we would get a miss, and then she looked like Superman flying in from the perimeter, getting them extra opportunities. And you know, when you look at their best lineup, ironically, like, wasn't with Aaliyah Edwards in it when you look at the plus-minus. And that's not going to be that way normally for them. But, you know, when Ducharme was at the 4, now we're stretched because she's a great three-point shooter. So now we can only help off Aubrey. Now we're helping off Aubrey, and she's getting on the offensive glass because she's quicker to the ball than we were. So that lineup was really good for them because they could guard us with that lineup, but they could stretch us out more. And I thought our defense was pretty effective when we could help in on their double big lineup. We stayed home a little better. We rebounded better when they were kind of with their double big lineup, which is what they're going to have to play against a lot of teams to be effective. But tonight, their small ball was really good.
Alexa Philpott, ESPN. Kind of similar question that I asked your players, but
Oh, no. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
If you kind of reflect back on the season and just how year 2 was and the ups and downs and how you all handled adversity, what kind of sticks out about that to you?
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, obviously, what the public sees, what people see is the 40 minutes that we're on the court, night in and night out. But they're not in the locker room. They're not in the practice gym. They're not dealing with someone not wanting someone to get eligible that we were counting on, or, obviously UConn's dealt with Paige being out all year. So, but it's tough when you sign 2 players that are all SEC players and one plays less than 100 minutes and the other never gets to suit up. And so we dealt with a lot of, we've got boots. Sarah Andrews hasn't practiced for 2 weeks because of plantar fasciitis. She's just, when Sarah doesn't practice, she's not as sharp. I thought she played great on Friday night, but I think the quick turnaround, I was proud of how she battled, but I don't think she has her bounce. When your feet hurt, Jaden's had shin issues all year and wears a boot 24/7 when she's not playing. And so we have to limit reps in practice. And so as a coach, as you're trying to help a young team grow, there were days we had 7 people in practice on a 13-player roster. There were days we had 8. We were days that Sarah could go every third possession. Jaden could go every third possession of a practice. And so it was a challenge. So I'm really proud of how resilient we were, considering some of the obstacles. And everybody has injuries and has moments like that. But you're talking about 2 all-SEC players, and it's not the same as I don't know that UConn has a player on their bench that wasn't a McDonald's All-American. And so because of that, they even when they have injuries, they're still, playing 5 All-Americans or 4 All-Americans and one that was the player of the year at Fairfield, who's a pretty dang good player. So we battled. And Caitlin, she's so special. Like, she is our safety, our quarterback. She runs our team. She can run every position on our floor. She's the best communicator on our team. She's stubborn as heck. Nobody I've ever coached plays more for the name on the front of her jersey than Caitlin Bickle. Nobody. She cares about winning. And for 3 years, she didn't play, and she cheered on her teammates. And for 1 year, she was a role player that helped us win games. And for 1 year, she was an all-conference player. And I'm glad that she was able to kind of get to the point where she was more than Kalani's backup, more than Melissa's backup, and kind of showed the world how good she actually is. So, our seniors, Jamie Asbury was the first kid to say yes to me as a head coach in the collegiate level. I say Jordan Lewis did, but she kind of had already found an apartment. But Jamie was the one that, obviously she came to win a championship, but she had to believe that I could lead her to a championship, lead the team to a championship. So those guys, I'm a big believer, and it's so easy for coaches to want to give a pep talk in the locker room after a game to the young kids about what that meant and coming back, but I just don't believe in that. I believe the last game is about the kids that'll never be in that locker room again. I'm just super lucky to have coached Jamie Asbury and Caitlin Bickle.
Coach Pat from the AP again. If you could just take a forward look, where did you expect your program to be after 2 years, and where do you feel it's going from here? I think when you everybody knows like the coach that takes over for Gino has got a tough task. When that day comes, if it comes, but it was about it was about culture. It was about saying this is who we are and this is how we're going to do things and this is who I am and how I'm going to do things. And it was about being unapologetic about caring about kids,
caring about them on the court, caring about them off the court, hugging them, loving them, getting them to understand that it's bigger than basketball. And at the same time, you know, anyone who knows me really well knows there's not a more competitive person on the planet. I'm not saying there's people that aren't equally as competitive as me, but I don't like to lose. I believe I can coach against anybody in the country. Like, I don't have confidence issues. You know, I thought we went toe-to-toe with maybe the best coach that's ever been in women's college basketball, and I know that's debatable and this and that, and I'm not trying to start anything here. But Gino's an unbelievable coach, and what he's done here in 30-plus years is insane. And so this year was about continuing to grow. Like, we didn't have Melissa Smith. We didn't have Queen Egbo. You know, we've missed them. We've missed Jordan Lewis. Jordan Lewis was a sixth-year stud that just knew how to play and knew how to lead and had played in big games and was a winner. So it was about turning the page, you know, and we thought we were going to be really darn good, you know. I mean, come to a practice, you know, watch Trey Edwards play. You know, if you'd have been in our practices watching Asia compete with those freshmen and show them the way, you know, I think we have a chance to be really special. Obviously, the portal's hopping, and you never know who's coming and who's going. And, you know, we won't look exactly the same a year from now, but I think we'll be able to compete with anyone, and that's the plan. You know, like I know with Asia and Dre and the guard returning that we have returning, and those freshmen that were unanimous all-freshman team and unanimous all-freshman of the year, we're off to a good start.
Last question.
Nicki, like you said, Sarah struggled tonight. How big was that for Jaden to do what she did when she hadn't really shot like that toward the end of the year? And I think maybe even early you were like, don't turn that down, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think, you know, once again, like, sometimes you want to work for a great shot, but sometimes the first shot is the best one against UConn. You know, when the shot clock runs down, their numbers are really good, and a lot of that has to do with their length. You know, because they're bigger than us at every position. Like, it wasn't even close. Like Jamie said, I don't think they're that big. And I looked at her like, okay, the person you're guarding is about 7 inches taller than you, but okay. You know, I think Jaden is good when Jaden takes the wide open, feet set, kick out three. You know, when she got frisky at the end, she had to throw one up. And I thought that was, I know everyone's like, oh, well, that's kind of garbage. But I think that was the equalizer to the half, the shot that went in before the half. You know, Nika threw one in, Jaden threw one in. It's a wash, right? You know, Jaden doesn't make a lot of step-back threes, but Jaden is a capable catch-and-shoot three-point shooter when her feet are set and people aren't closing down on her. And so I thought most of the threes she took were good until the end. And it's just, you know, when you get down 15 and you're trying to make a play, it gets a little ugly, you know, like, and their hearts are in the right place, but you don't score 24 in the first quarter with step-back threes. You throw them with paint touches, kick it, one more. You know, like Gino said, you guys run stuff that's really, really hard to guard when we were going through the line. And I do think we run good stuff, you know, like, and we don't have the ability to just say, hey, we're going to pound it into the low post. You know, we could have done that with Asia and Dre. So we had to move people, you know. So when we had great movement, sideline to sideline, we were really good. When we got tired and we didn't have good movement, sideline to sideline, like, that's one thing about UConn. Like, their cuts are sharp. They cut with a purpose. And they're always ready to throw it if you get beat on a cut. And I think some of the cuts, AZ got a cut. We fouled. Lopez Seneschal, like, they didn't get a ton of them. Like, I thought we took away that for the most part. But, you know, they do such a good job of cutting off the ball.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.